All right, what's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. This is Ryan from Elevate Cyber back with another episode, I guess you could say, this week in security. We're going to start with an article I found pretty interesting here. This one on Facebook, they say that there was a malicious Chrome extension where developers scrape profile data. And I think they filed a legal action against them. I find it kind of interesting, right? Because in this article, they're kind of trying to make them out to be like Facebook out to be like, oh yeah, like they care about your data, so they're protecting you. But like they're the last people that you would expect or really view as like, hey, they care about your data and stuff. Because obviously, Facebook collects data from you all the time, sells it to advertisers and stuff like that, right? But I think it was more the part that these Chrome extensions or these developers here that created this Chrome extension, it was basically scraping profile IDs and information that I guess was considered sensitive information from Facebook. But I don't know. Here's the thing on that too, right? These extensions, if it's scraping, these profile IDs and names and stuff, well, it's doing so likely with JavaScript, right? And all the stuff from JavaScript is just scraping stuff from the browser. As a user, as an internet user, as a user of any browser, we have full control over our client-side information. And so if sensitive stuff is being exposed there where it can be scraped, then that's kind of on them, is kind of the way I view it, right? Because, okay, maybe their extension did that. I think it's more of the part of how they did it, right? Because it looks like there was this browser extension had some hidden code that functioned like spyware, which is funny because, some people could make the argument that a lot of Facebook acts as spyware, essentially, how they snoop on your browsing history, right? And you ever wonder how when you browse the internet and then you go on Facebook again, all of a sudden you get targeted ads, and you're like, how did Facebook know that I am interested in this or that, right? Well, that's how, because they're tracking you with their tracking cookies, and they're actually the ones doing the spyware, if you will, on you. And when they find what type of stuff that you're looking at on the internet, then they can hit you with the targeted ads, right? And they sell that to advertisers, of course. So it's really funny that to me that they're taking this stance. I think the reason they did was it's pulling that from their site. It sounds like it's pulling it from Facebook. But again, basically what I was saying was a lot of this information, they're doing it through JavaScript, right? So this is stuff that any user would have access to anyways. If you know how to use the Chrome dev tools, for example, you could just find this information. But yeah, interesting article. Thought I would cover that. And now moving on to a little bit more serious articles here. We got this one here. Experts uncover malware attacks against Colombian government and companies. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this was, recently we were talking about how, in the modern day, I don't think warfare is going to be fought on tanks and, with guns and manpower. A lot of it's going to be, cyber type of warfare, advanced persistent threats and stuff like that. And you're seeing even more cases here where you're discovering malware that's basically attacking, maybe nation state actors, attacking, governments and stuff like that, right? This particular one is against Colombia. But you're really starting to see this emerge as a more commonplace type of thing, right? Like ongoing surveillance campaigns directed against, specific governments, institutions, private companies, and really an emphasis, especially on attacking like energy and stuff like that. Things that were considered pretty essential for the population, right? That's another thing that we've noticed is a common trend with not only with APT type of threats, but also with ransomware type of attacks and stuff like that, right? So I'm not going to go into full detail on this too much, but it involved phishing, social engineering, all your standard common things you see a lot, and command and control servers, stuff like that, just as any good APT group would implement, right? So pretty standard there. But yeah, moving right along, we see the authorities take down the world's largest illegal dark web marketplace. Yeah, I'm not too familiar on the specific marketplaces or anything like that. And this is not just me saying this to protect myself. Like, I actually am not too familiar with a lot of the dark web places nowadays that are out there. But I just wanted to take a moment and highlight this article and really explain, sort of shed some light on the common misconceptions when it comes to the dark web, or sometimes you might hear it referred to as the deep web. Basically, what the deep web is it is websites, basically web pages that cannot be indexed. So what do I mean by indexed? Well, you know how you're able to, Google search stuff and find websites? The way that basically works is through web crawlers, right? So like Google has a web crawler that goes out, crawls the internet for all the different sites. Now you can tell, you can actually, include files on your site to tell web crawlers not to crawl your site. And, there's probably other ways they can do it as well. But yeah, you could basically have it so that your site doesn't get crawled and thus is not indexed, and thus won't come up in any searches, right? And it's only accessed, you can have websites, right, that are only accessible through, a specific, browser configuration, like the Tor network, right? And yeah, these are off of the standard, what most people know as the internet, right? Still on the internet, but you have to seek them out, right? Like, you're not going to stumble upon them or anything like that. And on these websites, a lot of times there are very legitimate things that are happening on these sites, right? If you think about certain countries that, they have issues with the censorship from their government, and they're not able to access certain websites, certain information they don't have access to, right? Well, they can use these unindexed sites where they can, they can get their news and stuff like that. And then there's also other, functionality. Pretty much anything the internet could be used for, you could also do it on a page that's not indexed. It's as simple as that. That is what a deep web is. Now, the thing is, of course, with the anonymity and all that stuff, and a more, secretive, private nature of things, yeah, you do have some malicious actors in here. You do have some malicious sort of shady sites, right? So that's where, dark web marketplaces, right? Like places where people can buy all kinds of illicit services, whether it be drugs or whatever, right? Illegal gambling and all kinds of crazy stuff, right? So most certainly, that is present as well. But, privacy is not a crime. And I do believe that everyone has the right to privacy, right? And, you see the same thing in the cryptocurrency space, right? Now, I think a lot of people misunderstand Bitcoin. They think that they're anonymous because they're using Bitcoin, but anyone can see your addresses and your transactions, right? But, certainly stuff like Monero, where it's actually obfuscated and no one can know that you're the one sending or receiving the transactions, that privacy is really nice to have. Certainly, even if you're not doing anything illegal or anything, shady, right? You want the privacy. You don't want your neighbor to know the transactions that you're making, what you're buying and how much or anything like that, right? Certain information should just be kept confidential if it doesn't concern other people. And even governments, they shouldn't necessarily be, able to keep a tab on every little thing you do, right? So, is that malicious in itself? Of course not. But will criminals use that as well? I mean, yeah, sure. So, that's kind of my stance on the dark web. I think, obviously there's a lot of malicious stuff out there like this, and they're constantly hunting those down and trying to take them down. But at the same time, you gotta understand there's a distinction between illegal activity in the dark web and just the deep web, dark web in general, right? Simply means these sites are not indexed. So moving right along here, nothing too crazy here, just the standard Microsoft Patch Tuesday. This was the first one of 2021. They regularly patch on Tuesdays here. This article was from 3 days ago. on Tuesday, where it looks like they found some RCEs they patched up here in this one, and some protection against malware, because as you guys have seen from the other articles, there's a lot of malware going out already in 2021, and that does not look to slow down. So quite a bit of security flaws patched in this one, but all in all, nothing too out of the ordinary here. Just wanted to highlight that. But then the last one, this one's a kind of interesting article. Telegram bots at the heart of classes scam. I don't know if I said that right. As a service. So scam as a service is what they're calling this. So I thought this was interesting because I use Telegram, and I'm starting to see more of my friends hop on Telegram as well. And if you also use Telegram, just be watching out for potential scams out there. This one in particular, what they call a scam as a service, I think this was like a Russia thing, right? So basically, it was being sold as a service by Russian-speaking cyber criminals. Used at least 40 separate cyber gangs, which made altogether 6.5 million using their service. So make sure what services you're using. Kind of goes without saying, right? But it looks like they talk about like full-fledged scam kits, Telegram chatbots, automated communication, and everything, right? They utilized basically Telegram to facilitate their scam. So Telegram itself is not a scam. Want to make sure everyone knows that. But, just be on the lookout for scams that might use stuff like that. Why Telegram, right? This goes back to what we're talking about in the previous 2 articles ago, right? And we're talking about this one right here, right? Telegram is an encrypted chat, right? There's positives to that. All right. I don't want my neighbor knowing what I'm talking about with other people. That's none of their business. I don't want the government, necessarily to know, what everything that I'm saying to every person, right? I want certain communication to be kept confidential. So, there's nothing malicious inherently about that, but will cyber criminals utilize that to perhaps do some malicious stuff? Yeah, of course. So I think that's the reason that you're seeing cyber criminals leverage stuff like Telegram. So this is the kind of trade-off. I mean, personally, I'm willing to make that trade-off because I think privacy is important, and I think that that we should be able to have communications and be able to basically live and operate in a world where, not everyone needs to know everything that you say or have access to everything you say to everyone, right? You should have some kind of privacy, and there's nothing inherently malicious about that, right? But what's your opinion on this whole debate? Let me know. I'd love to hear it down in the comments section below. That's pretty much all that I have for this video. There'll definitely be a lot more to come on this channel. As you know, if you've been following me for any amount of time, we do daily uploads here on Elevate Cyber. So, yep, that's pretty much all I had for this video, and I will see you guys in the next video.